Welcome everybody. Happy to show off 4.45 for y'all today. I'm going to hand off over to Sharon for endpoint ops.
Thank you, Luke. We'll start with the features. We had several features in the pipeline. Unfortunately, one of them could not make it to the release on Monday, which is the vulnerability page. By now, it's done or almost done, so it'll be next sprint. But for now, we won't present it. I'll hand it over to Rachel to start. Rachel, take it.
Hey guys, yeah, we had a major feature going out this release, but it's actually pushed to next release. So we don't have too many features going on right now. Just one change to the UI that everyone should know about is now we are calling team members team users. So instead of seeing members everywhere on the team's pages, it now uses the name users just to not confuse our users about the name users. So you'll see that everywhere that you can look at any kind of team stuff. And that's it for me as far as new features.
Thank you. And another big feature that we pushed is the new abilities for Gitops, and I'll hand it over to Victor to talk about it.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, so this is a fairly good size feature. Basically, we want to be able to manage the fleet configuration from using Git. So this is called Gitops, and I'll kind of go through how it works. Also, there is one part of this feature I want to demo first. It's the fact that we can now have policies that have the same name across teams. And the reason why this is important is because you can have basically the same policies in multiple teams now. So for example, this is a global policy called passing policy. So I can go to a different team and I can create a policy and call it also passing policy. And so you can have now, you can have a passing policy in team one, and you can have a passing policy in the global team. Okay, so back to Fleet Gitops. So let's first demo how you can run this standalone from the command line. Yeah. So I have a directory which has a config default.yml. And it looks like this. So this is similar to our spec that we use for fleet control apply. But the goal here is to have eventually to have all of fleet configurations that the user can set in here. And there's some reorganization. So a lot of the MDM configs are now under controls. We got configs. We have scripts here as well. Another feature here is now you can pass at the top level, you can pass a path. So you can, for example, you can have these queries in top queries. If I go to top queries, I have my queries there like this. So we got the controls, we got queries, policies, we have agent options, and at the top level, we have organization settings, server settings, etc. that are just specific to kind of your organization, your global team itself. Another thing you can use, I'm not sure, is environmental variables. So this way you don't have to expose your secrets. So you can pass these secrets in via like GitHub secrets ability, and I'll demo that later. So basically, let me just run this. It's fleet control Gitops file, and I can also do a dry run. And you see here, I created a query that's not in my config, and it says it's going to delete this query. but this is a dry run, so it's not actually going to delete it. But if I do a real run, just to demo this back to my server, queries, query that is not in Gitops. So if I do a real run, that query will be deleted. So if I refresh this, that query is gone. So I feel like one useful case for this is if you have like multiple, for contributors, if you have multiple configs that you want your server to be at, it's now easy to just run one command and put your server in a specific config. Now let's show how customers would use this. And for that, we have a repo that we created. I'll just go to it. It's the Fleet Gitops repo. I actually made a video to go through how a customer would use this flow. So let's watch it together. A fleet server setup. So now let's go to the FleetVM Fleet Gitops repo. And there are some instructions here how to get started. Let's kind of try to follow these instructions. So first we will. So the first step is to clone the repo. This repo. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to fast forward here. I basically clone the repo. Now, create a new. Is to set these up. So refreshing this, so now in our location we have all these files. So let's set up those secrets. So now we need to set up the secrets so it can connect. Setting secrets and variables, repository secrets. Once you set these up, you will not be able to view them. Delete URL. This is so that fleet control can get there. And then we have the fleet API. Okay. So the recommended flow is to set up a Gitops user, but in this case, so I have tested this with a Gitops user, but in this demo, I'm just using the token from here, which actually refreshes. So for Gitops, you should use an API token that doesn't get refreshed. We'll go and get our API token from here, paste and save it here. So we have the URL and the API token. We also need to set up. You need to go into this files and see what other things we're gonna do. So this is how basically we pass in those environmental variables into the files. You can pass them in by just clear text in here, or you can pass them through secrets in this way. Set up. So I go through and set these up here. So I'll fast forward. I'm just setting those up. Now we can workflow with the default configs. Go to repo. Let's go to actions. So you see, by default, the workflow already ran. Like once you first check in the repository, the workflow runs. You see the first one had failed. The second one is just something I had to do to get a pre-released fleet control in there. And the workflow ran automatically. I needed to update fleet control because it hadn't been released yet. But I'm going to go ahead and run this action over here and then click run workflow. Run workflow. And now wait a second for it to come up. And the workflow is running. And you can see our workflow running, applying all our configs. First it does a dry run, it applies the default for everyone, and then it goes through all the files in the teams, workstation canary, workstations, and does a dry run on those. And after the dry run succeeded, then it does the actual real run. We have our default config, and then we have the two teams. It succeeded. So let's try something else. Try to modify our config. Let's go to default. We can edit this. And for demonstration purposes, let's modify the organization name. My demo org. Just commit the change. Once we committed the change, the workflow will immediately run. If we go to actions, it's already running. Go to the server, settings. You can see the setting has been applied. Okay, that concludes the demo. And that's it for fleet control Gitops. Back to you, Sharon.
Yeah, and I think Victor, we have some plans to get this hooked up to dog food, right? So like that's
That's
next
right.
on our plate too. So bringing dog food into the main fleet repo and managing it there.
Right. And we also have a couple stories to kind of modify this flow. So this fleet control Gitops is, we're calling it in beta, because we do want things like specify everything into one command so that Gitops knows about all your teams and is able to delete teams that are not specified.
Yeah, and we want to do some dog fooding too to make sure that things are working as expected, and then we'll remove the beta from the name.
Sell this
And
data, something that's out there in
The
fleet.
video is on Loom. It's shared with all the fleets. I think if you just search for Gitops and Loom, you should find it.
so one comment about the video itself, technically, just reminding everyone that we already have a shared folder on Drive for all training videos. This should definitely be one of them, and potentially maybe go to customers. Comment number 2, I wonder if we should do it mandatory to wear a fleet shirt when doing a video like that. I like it. Anyway, thank you, Victor. Next is Tim with, well, Tim, you presented. Take it.
Yeah, I got a real short one. It's kind of a follow-up to the OS vulnerability work we did last release. Share my screen real quick. This is API only, but you'll see some of the benefits next release when we release more stuff. So here's the OS versions API. Previously, we did not have, if you're familiar with resolved inversion. Am I sharing the right screen here?
We could see Postman.
Did I show you the banana stand? There you go. There you go. Does that look better?
It's the same.
Still Postman. Is that what you want us to see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. So here I'm looking up a OS version. This is a Microsoft Windows version, and here is our vulnerable version 3007, and here's our resolved version. Quick shout out to Microsoft for they didn't make it this easy, maybe a couple of years ago, and they simplified their versioning scheme, so now we're allowed to do stuff like this. That's all I had.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Tim. Next, we have Lucas with a few things. Take it, Lucas.
All right. So the first thing I think is, okay, run a custom query as a live query via API. So this is a request from a customer to run just one live query against just one host, right? And the query has to be something you provide, the SQL, not something that exists in Fleet, right? Because the existing APIs were not able to do that. So I'm gonna show you that. I have a host in my local host. I have here my Mac here, and it has, let me copy the UID here, and the API that we added allows you, let me just copy this, allows you to run, in this case, I'm running this query, right? So I guess from our query info, we're sorting less than 0. And let me just copy the UID. Sorry. Copy again. All right. So this should run. Oh, happens on a demo. Let me just let me see if that works. All right. So there we go. Yeah, it returned no rows because I'm doing that thing where I do less than 0. Let's just remove that. And basically I'm running any query against any host. You can also provide the host name and the serial number and a few more things, but basically the same thing works. There's this status online. If I take my host offline, this will return nothing and just offline here. And there's an edge case scenario where if you set, for example, let's do something like select 360. Under this scenario, I believe the host gets the query. It will run the query, but given that it sleeps 60 seconds, this request will time out. I think we have a 25-second default timeout. So let's just wait a little bit, and you'll see that you'll get the timeout error, right? Timeout waiting for results. The host is online actually, but it took 60 seconds to run the query, so you get this and no rows. So that was the thing, and then around that feature, we also added the second API in case you want to run just with the host ID. Is the same thing, but some customers may use the host ID here. So you can just some customers might use just that thing there. Well, it's gonna take 60 seconds because it's running the other query. That's a query limitation. In any case, that API works. Let me just query the other one, I guess. Again, you provide the host ID and you get the result. All right, you get one. All right, so that's about it on that feature. We implemented that feature. Actually, Victor implemented this feature, and then I wrapped it up late in the night, and then we did a lot of testing on this. So thank you, everyone involved in here. I don't want to miss anyone. So then the next feature would be Adhosts query flag to fleetsteel package and fleetd. So some customers, by default, when you install fleetd, when you take this host, OPT, I'm running fleetd on this host, right? You have the OS query database right here. It's by default. Right? And the same happened on Linux. Some customers, one customer had the issue where the OPT partition didn't have enough disk space to store like gigabytes of logs. This customer is doing DDR with Fleet, and they're collecting a lot of data, result logs. And those logs are stored here. So basically they were running out of space on this partition. So they requested this feature where they would like to specify a specific path. So, you can do that we have added new, so when you run fleetsteel package, you can provide a new flag called OSQueryDB where you pass path. So I generated this package and I installed it on a Linux host here. And you can see now that this host has OPT orbit. No OSQueryDB, I guess. Yeah, no OSQueryDB, but you have that in elsewhere, like there, right? And customers don't need to generate new packages. They can just modify this right here. They can just set this variable and like restart Orbit, and it will use that. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. And lastly, this is not a feature, but more of a customer request. A customer is generating a lot of logs, a lot. And they were worried about downtime in Fleet. When you upgrade Fleet, you need to take Fleet down. And they were worried about data loss and thundering hurt when you bring Fleet up again. So we are currently working on this. We're doing the load test, but we also presented a document for them with our recommendations on OS query flags, to avoid data loss. There's a bunch of configuration you can use to prevent data loss when this happens, because every customer will have to take Fleet down when they upgrade Fleet, and they don't want to lose data. So this is a recommendation document for these customers. And that's about it.
Thank you, Lucas. And that concludes the features part of the endpoint team. Stay tuned for the homepage next sprint, and I'll give it back to you, Luke.
Thank you. Thanks, Sharon. And Endpoint Ops, a lot of features going out, and we'll come back to you for a lot of bug fixes I see going out in this release, which is great. I'll take that opportunity to call out that yesterday our bug open time for all bugs was 29 days, which is below our 32-day goal for the first time since April of last year. So awesome work, everybody. And that's before the release goes out on Monday, which is going to further close them out. So I think we may be down to low 20s by next week. So awesome work. Thank you all for your commitment to improving the quality of the product. And over to George for MDM features.
All righty, starting us off is Gabe.
Hey guys, I'm having a bit of environment issue. So is it all right if we skip and come back to me? Just because I'm trying to figure out why I can't see the fix we've made, or the improvement we've made.
All right, absolutely. Then Haziel, you're up.
Alrighty. Share my screen. So everyone see the Google Doc agenda. Cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna walk us through the remote lock unlock feature. This was a really big effort from, I think, everyone on the team. I'm demoing it, but I was definitely not the only person working on this. Everyone had a hand in this. So big props to the whole MDM team for getting this big feature done. But yeah, I mean, it kind of just does what it says on the tin, locking and unlocking workstation from Fleet. And yeah, let me jump into the demo. We're going to start off with Windows, because it takes a second, but come over here to, oh, okay, well, I think I'm safe from my own computer. Come over here to Fleet. This is the Windows VM that we were just looking at. So now under actions here on the host page, we have this new lock option. And if you go ahead and click it, you'll get a little confirmation modal. Yes, I wish to lock it. And now this little badge will appear letting you know, hey, there's a lock pending on this guy. And so we should see it lock here shortly. It was taking several seconds to go through, but okay, cool. I'm running multiple VMs and I had to like close everything that I did not need for this demo to try to get this to run faster. So you see, I just got signed out. Signs out every user that's not named administrator. So if I try to sign in, I cannot because I was locked out. And if we refresh this page here, we now see that the host is locked. So we can go ahead and unlock this. and we're notified that the unlock is pending. And after a few seconds here, we should be able to see me log back in. Sweet. So that was Windows. The Mac OS flow, and I won't be able to demo the Linux flow because I'm on an Apple Silicon machine, and we can't install Fleetd on Mac, like Apple Silicon VMs. It's kind of wonky, but we have tested it and it does work. So that is, this VM is this guy. So here we are. Everything's cool. Gonna go ahead and lock it. And the lock is pending. And yeah, macOS has been really snappy. So the flow again is a little bit different. This generates a PIN that you have to type in on the machine itself, like on the host. So now you can see here, we have a requirement for a system PIN. So in the UI, if you hit unlock, you will instead be shown the PIN. And this happens in fleetctl as well. If you do the unlock command, it'll return the PIN if it's a macOS host. So that's what, 716. And we should get back to the login screen. Nice. And we're back in. And we should no longer see locked over here. Sweet. Yeah, so that's the feature. There's equivalent sort of flows again in fleetctl and via API as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Before you stop sharing, Haziel, could you just scroll down and give us a show of the activities that represents in the audit log?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, like George just said, we see the activity in the activity feed for this host, so you can see whenever you view the PIN as well as locking and unlocking the machine. So every time you see here, viewed the unlock PIN. If I come over here, or I guess I have to go and lock it again, but this should be the same thing over here as well. So you can see that I locked it and unlocked it. Yeah, I guess internally on Linux and Windows, this is done via scripts. And with macOS, it's done through the usual MDM command flow. I'm looking through the chat right now, trying to see if there's questions. Mike asked if it works on Linux. Yes, it does.
Is the flow similar to Windows or Mac on Linux?
To Windows. So
no PIN.
No PIN. What other questions?
I'm gonna jump off for a doctor's appointment real quick. I'll be right back, but just to verbalize this, if anyone would feel ready to do a demo of that or could get ready, I think that would be an amazing 5-minute video showing on Linux remote lock and wipe working, because that's something that basically no other platform does well. Showing that side by side with like all the other functionality in Fleet, I think would be sort of like a mind-blowing experience for all the people who've been clicking our Linux ads.
Yeah, a video with all three back to back would just be pretty bomb.
The lead with
absolutely, but also want to point out that wipe is scheduled for the next release. So this is only lock for now.
Yeah, I think we could still publish it right away. The sooner we get it out, the more leads we can get and start working them.
Absolutely, yeah, we can schedule to build that today.
Could be awesome. Drew, do you think you could get it live? Sweet. Really excited. Great work, guys. Be right back.
Awesome. All right. And I believe that is it for Haziel. Does anybody have any other questions over remote lock and unlock? Otherwise, we'll be moving over to Sarah.
All right, let's see. So I'm going to demo a couple of features. We have first up the Adhosts window now, Adhost modal now dynamically populates the enable scripts flag in the installer package command. So here, this enable scripts is going to be included in all of the different variations of the command, so long as the user hasn't disabled scripts globally in the app settings. So here's where you would do that. And no longer are scripts enabled. That is number one. Let me turn that setting back on so I can show you the next bit. Okay, so we added in this sprint we expanded our save scripts capabilities now so that you can save scripts for Linux as well as Mac OS and Windows. As you can see here, we've updated some of the copy. And when you look at a Linux host, you'll see this option to run scripts in the window. I don't have the Linux host online right now to show you a script actively running, but you can see they can be queued on offline hosts, scheduled to run, and you have the same kind of functionality that we have for other scripts. That's that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Gabe, how are we doing on setup?
Not quite there. I'll keep trying, and then maybe when we demo the bugs, I can demo this.
All right, sounds good. Then that's it for features for the MDM team. Back to you, Luke.
Great. Thank you, MDM team. Cool features coming. Looks like from Zach on the front. So hand off to Zach.
Hello. We have a battery table for OS Query on Windows now. This table's been there for Mac OS for quite a long time, but now we've got almost exactly the same columns on Windows. So I have a Windows laptop enrolled here. I'll run the query, and we will see that we get the information about the installed battery. It's almost all the same columns as Mac OS that are available, so that's cool. We can actually run the query as well against Mac OS hosts and just see that that data lines up really nicely, which is always a, stop it there, which is always a nice way to get good information across hosts. Yeah, there are a couple of columns that we don't get on Windows, such as health, and what's the other one? Another one called state. Condition. Those APIs also seem to be broken on newer versions of macOS, so we'll be fixing that very soon. But we get pretty much all the same data on Windows. We also get a battery chemistry column, which is a bit interesting. And note that amperage, when it shows negative, usually means that, or on both Mac and Windows, means that the battery is discharging. If it's positive, it means the battery is charging. And that's it. We'll be fixing that issue with the Mac OS table where it's showing a lot of checked batteries on batteries that should be fine soon. And working on Linux as well.
Awesome. And as Brock pointed out, this is actually way more important data for Windows users in general than Mac users. So great improvement. Back over to Endpoint Ops and Sharon for bug fixes and improvements.
Hey, thank you. We start with Lucas and some unexpected traffic to the root of the fleet server. I want to remind everyone to be concise, to let others speak as well. And take it, Lucas.
All right. Gotta be short. So basically, we had a customer that had these settings, agent settings. So logger. Give me a second. Okay, my keyboard died, but we had a customer that had logger TLS endpoint misconfigured, which means this was empty instead of like being this. So every result from queries went to the root of fleet. And if we, okay, I may have to, yeah, my keyboard died. So we may have to go to another demo and then I'll resume this one. I don't know who's next. Okay, there we go. No, sorry. There we go. All right, so if we go to our dog food and we try to send a post request to the root, I'm not using any credentials here. We can actually, this doesn't need to be anything. We will get a 200 because we're actually serving the UI right there on the front end, right? But now we added the change so that if you send a post request, we're going to return a 40 something. So this is it. This is on localhost, and we should now get method not allowed. And this is important because the customers were actually redirecting a lot of traffic to the root due to misconfiguration. And given that it was returning 200, this was like hidden from, like logs and everything. Everything was working as normal, but logs were sending, to a black hole. Now customers, we added a warning log, a warning release note that customers should check this before upgrading. But now they should, the problem should manifest better now. And that's about it.
Thanks, Lucas. And next we have Rachel.
All right, hey guys. So let's go through some UI bugs together that are now fixed. This first one, you can still see it on dog food since it's not updated with the latest branch of main. So if you go to OS and you go specifically to this Microsoft OS, we have an issue right now where you can get this 500 error, and this is actually a front-end issue. So sorry about any bugs related to this new OS page. We've been, hammering them out as we go this release. But basically what's happening is our network is giving us this information. There we go. And we have some vulnerabilities that only have the CVE and details link, and it actually doesn't have any of this other information. And two of these columns were not parsing the data correctly. So you'll now see that it will show empty values for all four of these columns for this particular vulnerability. And there's actually 3 cases. So that is our first bug fix. What else do we have here? Mike McNeil will be happy that we fixed some sentence casing. So if we have a 2-word, it's usually in the titles of some empty states. If we have 2 words, the second word should be lowercase. So those are now fixed. This is a bug that Zach found on the My Device page. Also a front-end bug that I poked around and was able to fix. This last restarted date was not showing on the My Device page. It was only showing correctly on the app's host details page. And so all of that is now cleaned up. So the My Device page and the app page uses the exact same code, so there shouldn't be any discrepancies between the data. What else? This overlapping secret stuff. Once again, once we start poking at things, we start realizing that some of the so our secrets usually end right here, but some people actually put in a really long secret. This is just my local dev's secret. So here's a really long secret. Now, when you show secret, it doesn't go over these buttons at all, and it just stops right here. And if you want to see the rest of secret, you can just scroll over. And then, oh, these two issues are actually related. So working on one issue, I found the other one. So if you were going to your dashboard page, we recently, not recently, but like over a year ago, added Chromebooks. And we made this link dynamic, so you'll see that it goes to label 17, and that's because different instances of Fleet have this Chromebooks label added at different times, so it has a different ID. We never actually updated these links, and we kept them hard-coded, thinking, oh, well, everybody has macOS, Windows, and Linux hard-coded as label 7, 10, and 12. But it turns out one of our customers decided to remove their labels and restart them. So they actually changed. So now these are not hard-coded anymore. They are dynamic. So that bug is now fixed. When they click on this, they'll go to the correct label ID. And then in doing that, I was looking at other label ID issues or just code and seeing if there was anything else related to that. And there was another one. So I got to file another bug on Chrome. This is in dog food. You'll see that if you click on this link, you don't actually have the label ID for Chrome showing up on here. So it should have linked to this page with label ID 17. So I went ahead and I fixed that. If I went to this, this is in my local environment platforms. If you click on this now, you'll see for me, my label ID for Chrome is 13. So it's showing up. And the final thing on here, I just wanted to mention that we did push some fixes in the patch release, so there's no actual demo of those, but those are already on dog food, which is awesome. So on the software page, if you now go to all of these different filters and you type in multiple filters, they all work correctly. So sorry from the front end. They were actually putting these in snake case or camel case instead of snake case in the query params, and so that's our bad. And yeah, lots of lessons learned about rushing through features and making sure that we're testing it with all the edge cases and whatnot. And that's it for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rachel. And next we go to Victor.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm going to share my screen. So first, we can now transfer hosts to the node team using fleet control. So if I go to my hosts, we have a host here, Victor Ubuntu is on team 1. So I can go ahead and transfer them back to the global team. And the way to transfer them is to use basically to pass a blank to the team. So there we go. Let's see if it got transferred. So it's team 1 here. So if I refresh, now on no team. So next thing is we had a bug where our secret was shown in clear text if it was a duplicate secret. So for example, here's an example. So this is an issue. This is an issue that may show up in Gitops because you may be like copy pasting and you might end up with the same secret being used by 2 teams. It used to it errored, but it was in clear text. So now it is not in clear text anymore. So if I try to apply this, it'll say secret *** already exists. It's no longer in clear text. There was also an issue with a bad user being created, and the error was confusing. So if I try to create a user, that is on a team 999, we should see a better error message. Of course, it's a little annoying that I have to enter a password. And then it has to be 12 characters long before I see the error. So now the error is team with ID 999 does not exist. Next is there was a change in the performance stats, specifically for wall time. So if I go to a host and I see the data returned from it, and I know it's a little small and there's a lot of it. And we go to the query stats. There's a bunch of performance data here, such as system time, user time, wall time. There's also number of executions. So to get the average, you take the time and divide it by the number of executions. So the change is that the wall time is now reported in milliseconds. It used to be in seconds. So now all of these times, wall time, user time, system time, they're all reported in milliseconds. So this is all consistent now. Okay, and the last thing I want to mention, this was actually fixed release on the last sprint, but we had an issue with the Microsoft fixes. So we release in NVD, we have a NVD repo that generates these JSON files. And we found out that you have a knowledge base article that applies a fix, but the fix can be applied to different builds, different Microsoft builds. So we have fixed this, so now we can support seeing that a single knowledge base ID applies a fix to multiple Microsoft builds, and these builds basically correspond to the versions like Windows 11 version 22H2. And the other one was Windows 11 version 23H2. So now we support seeing that a fix was applied to different Microsoft builds. I think, does that conclude for me? Did I miss anything?
I think you missed the Chrome runtime error, or maybe I missed it.
Yes, runtime error. Yes, thank you, Sharon. On FleetD Chrome in our environment, we have not seen from customers, but in our environment, we saw a runtime error. So through some debugging, with the help of the maintainer of the SQLite library we're using, we root caused it to the fact that we were throwing an error in a SQLite method. And the SQLite method was called from WebAssembly code, and that WebAssembly was generated from the C code. And basically, this WebAssembly did not properly support throwing errors. So it ended up just keeping whatever was on the stack. So eventually, once you throw enough errors, the stack will doesn't quite overflow. I don't know what the term is, but we get a runtime error that the stack is out of memory. So this fixes that error, and this will be released in the next FleetD Chrome next week, probably. Okay, that concludes the bug fixes. Back to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Victor, and another bunch of fixes by Jacob.
Hey, everybody. So just go through them here. So let's see. So we just had a misalignment in the setup flow. So you know what? I will just post a lim for this one because we'll have to back up the database, reset it to show it. But there was a small misalignment, as you can see there, and that is now aligned properly. This was kind of a, well, not that interesting bug. So as you can see in this video from Bree, oh, demo gods. Basically what was happening, I'll just show you here, was this. So if we have some state of boxes checked here, not necessarily saved in the database yet, and the user was previewing data and then close the preview box, they would lose this state. So any changes they had made to this modal would be lost. And as you can see, they're now preserved. So that is fixed. This is actually a precursor to the bug Rachel showed you in the manage enroll secrets modal. Don't worry, this is my local host here. So as you can see in these screenshots, we had, for those long passwords, we had some overlap with these buttons. Like this, for example, was visible under these buttons. And so to fix this, I just did some cleanup of the markup around here and in a way that allowed further fixes to actually be quite simple. So this now looks much better. Okay. This is just an issue where we were allowing the viewport to get a little bit too tight before kicking in the responsive styles, and we had some undesired wrapping of text and bumping up of UI elements, and now we've just set that to be consistent with our other table controls and be responsive right there, which looks nice and clean. This is kind of a quirky one. So we can see it on dog food. In the same modal, if we hit preview data, you can see that, can y'all see my mouse? You can still see that the hidden checkbox from the previous modal is not actually hidden. So this fix made sure everything was hidden by adding a little more specificity to those styles where needed. So here's the checkboxes, and you can see we can no longer see those checkboxes when we shouldn't. This was a bug where, as you can see, we're on the software titles page, and I'm going to enter a search query, AB, and we fetch the new filtered results, but now I've lost focus and I'm typing now. I have to re-click in there. This fix the kind of state. We had something that was moving something to a higher state than necessary, and now we can just continue editing our query as expected. And this bug has to do with the way we were encoding the plain text of user entered passwords, potentially changing the length of that text of the string that would be combined with salt and then hashed to make our limit actually not accurate. So as you can see, we try to create a user here on dog food. Don't worry, we won't. With this password, which is 41 characters. You can fact check that if you like. we'll see that. And that should be under our limit because we're using the default hash size, the default salt size. This should work, but we're getting an error that it's over the 48 character limit. And the fix here is to, and this is Haziel's idea. Thanks for that, Haziel. Let's see. So, give it the usual second there. Oh, and the branch is now behind some migrations. So y'all know this situation, but trust me that this fixes the issue. There are some follow-up Unicode related considerations that we still need to address, but that password length issue, as long as the user doesn't use emoji in their password, is now accurate. And I believe that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Eric with a fix to the vulnerability page. Sorry, vulnerability dashboard. Take it, Eric.
From showing a small bug that we fixed in the vulnerability dashboard was affecting remediation timelines for vulnerabilities that affected multiple software items on the host. So this is a good one. This is a local version of the dashboard that has this bug still present. And see, that was a vulnerability that affected 19 hosts, but here the number is down 17, 16. And it says there's 16 hosts affected. It's the live version. Oh, okay. Refresh this. And see the remediation timeline. It's now accurate. So this is most noticeable on vulnerabilities that were resolved that affected multiple items on a single host. Because see, it starts at 1, then goes down to 0 hosts affected. And then there's actually another point where it's 0 hosts affected, where it was actually resolved. I'll just no. And ooh. These are accurate. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And back to you, Luke.
Thanks, Sherelle. And Endpoint Ops, great bug fixes and improvements. Now over to George and MDM for bug fixes and improvements, and maybe Gabe's demo.
Alrighty, yeah, Gabe, you're up first for bugs. So, are you ready yet?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'll show the feature. It's not ideal. I can't get a. It's around profiles or OS settings failing for Windows. So you can upload different OS settings, and if some of those fail on Windows, you see this error column with the description here. We've just improved it so that in the tooltip, you get a bit more visual help with the kind of sort of main bit of the tooltip, I guess the title being in bold, and then the rest of it being just normal text. Before it was looking something like this, where all the text was just the same, and it was kind of hard to figure out exactly what it was telling you. So that was the feature improvement. As far as bugs, there are a couple I looked at. One was the show disk encryption table. These icons were just unaligned. I'll show you the how they were kind of pushed up here. So it was just fixing that UI bug. And then the other one was around the, if I go over to the automatic enrollment, this one was kind of strange. We had a hard time reproducing, but we're finally able to fix it. We were able to reproduce and then fix it. This icon was formatted like this, just kind of rendering slightly strange. But yeah, we were able to fix, so you don't get that kind of weird looking icon anymore. And yeah, that's it.
Alrighty, I have a couple to demo. One is just a simple update to how we are handling Helm. So right now, our Helm repo is officially set up for Helm version 3. So API version v2 is Helm 3. Previously, our charts were v1, and so some of the logic for conditionals here weren't being respected, so that has been resolved, as well as some work that Martin did. Let's just go to the notes for a second. Both of these are essentially back-end, making sure that we are clean with our errors and we're not duplicating any kind of efforts. But this one was big, removing the auto-update timestamp for MDM profiles. This would cause profiles that were delivered before an upgrade, when we had this, they would go from verified to failed or pending, and then cease to work. But now he's removed it so that our migrations will not cause profiles to erroneously look like they are not delivered. All right, that's it for me, and on to Haziel.
Cool. Come on, Zoom. You can do it. All right, cool. Yeah, so let's take a look at these, just a couple here. First of all, we've got this script result endpoint returns wrong message field. Basically, after we enabled the queuing of scripts, we were still, if a script was enqueued, so it was gonna, the host is offline, but it'll run sometime in the future. It was returning a message that I think it was like the timeout message or something like that. Or yeah, it's here in the ticket. That didn't make a lot of sense to return in that case because it wasn't timed out. It just hadn't run yet. So I'm gonna do something dangerous and demo this in a way that I didn't practice it, but we're gonna go with it. Should be script 82. Okay, cool. So that Mac OS host that we just saw is host 5, and I've got a script added into that the team that host is in. So if I go ahead and run this async, it should give me an execution ID, which is good. And if I go and get it, you can see here the message is now makes more sense. It'll run when it comes online. Cool. So that's that one. And the next one is this issue with software that's installed on a Windows VM through Parallels. So Parallels is a popular VM software for macOS. I think a lot of us use it here, but you would see this weird behavior where you would like Parallels would surface the Windows applications installed on the VM as if they were applications on the Mac OS host. So to just kind of show what this looks like, need to reboot, delete. Yes. So if I come and look at, this is my workstation here, and you refetch it to re-get the software. And if we search for something that's a Windows thing, like let's say Notepad, you see here, it shows up as notepad.app, even though this is not actually installed on my workstation because I have this Windows VM through Parallels. So, if we undo the change that we just did, rebuild, allow, we refresh, refetch. It doesn't show up anymore. So
Does this work for
Notepad,
VMware?
Edge.
I think VMware has a similar feature where it surfaces.
This is just for Parallels, but the adding support for other, as long as they have a good way to identify it, like this is done by filtering based on the bundle identifier. Parallels has like a special, like, you know, there's a particular start to the bundle identifiers for these apps that we're using to filter. So if VMware has the same thing, then adding support for that should be pretty straightforward.
But can I ask you a question about this real quick? So the bug was that it was surfacing apps in the Windows VM, correct? And now we're not doing that.
Yes.
Right? So is there a use case for collecting those?
Yeah, you'd install the agent on the Windows VM itself.
Okay.
Because it wasn't accurate information before. We weren't getting version information.
Well, I mean, I guess I could see a use case for there only needing to be one agent, because I mean, technically it's a VM, so it's running on the computer, but that is definitely a way to solve the problem.
Yeah, that's the best practice for now until we change that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it for me.
Alrighty, then next up we've got Roberto.
Hello. Yeah, let me share my screen. So none of the bugs there I have to demo are very easy to demo, but I can quickly go through them. This one was reported by team. Thanks for the nice report, by the way. It turns out it wasn't a nudge issue, and we fixed the issue. We submitted a PR, but that time they were just working on a huge refactor. So it will be fixed anyway in the next nudge version, which we will be testing and making sure that it's safe to upgrade before we upgrade the version we use. But yeah, the TLDR, we managed to find the issue for this. Yeah, next one is there's a customer that uses a Puppet module to deliver MDM profiles. And the unit tests were just broken. And as really the main cause of that is we didn't have like a workflow in CI to prevent us merging changes with broken tests. So we added a workflow now. You can merge that for LinkedIn, for testing, and we fixed the tests there, which give us confidence when we make changes to this module. Then something we found, let me zoom in a little bit here, but something we found is that for profiles, you can embed XML inside of the XML. And they, in the examples, they just give you the XML like this, but there is a small note that you have to escape the XML, or you have to use a C tag if you want to, which makes sense. So we just rethought how we are doing validation for XML. Instead of just relying on the standard library, we are using the standard library, but we are adding some extra checks for basically not validation, but formatness of different things we saw in the spec that need to be checked. So hopefully we will not find any other issues like this. Yeah, similar with this one, we fixed some of the detailed queries that were yeah, related to Windows profiles. And yeah, and that's all the bugs I want to share.
Awesome, thank you. And last up, we've got Sarah.
All right, I'll just do a quick lightning round here. So what do we have? We have a UI alignment issue. Well, I won't go in this order, but I'll just go in the order of my tabs here. So we fixed the disk encryption activities to make them cross-platform. They no longer are macOS specific. I think we had some cases where macOS was showing up where it shouldn't. Over here, we have the upcoming activities badge, which you can now see. We default to the past portion of the feed, and upcoming now we have a helpful badge to let you know when there's activities upcoming there. And we can look at this situation where we have a host that is plain OS query. So this is a host that does not have the FleetD agent installed. It was the case that we were allowing scripts to be enqueued for hosts like this. They would just stay pending forever and never run. Now, if you try to run it, we should see a very helpful error. Okay, and then here is the other one, which is when settings are disabled, we want to show this tooltip. The bug was just that we had a little styling that was drawing this dotted line underneath the arrow. So that's it for me.
Awesome, thank you so much. And that's it for the MDM team. Back to you, Luke.
Great, thanks, MDM. Last but not least, Victor's going to show off a couple of OS query fixes.
Okay, thank you, Luke. So this has to do with performance statistics. So OS Query stores the performance stats in a table that can be retrieved via a table, like number of executions and user time, system time, wall time, etc. So one of the bugs was that if you restart your host, all these numbers will disappear. So now this one has a fix and this one doesn't. So we're going to go ahead and restart Orbit on both of those. So at least this is the command I'm using to restart. And then I'm going to restart it on Ubuntu, different command. Okay, so that should restart both of them. So I can go ahead and fetch those performance stats again. And you see on the one that doesn't have it, they're cleared. Still waiting for the Mac. and the Mac has not cleared. The stats are still there. So that's one fix. Another fix now is in some cases we do want it cleared, and that is when we modify the query. So this query is fleet D update channels. So let's go and modify it. So if I go and edit this query, remove a column, for example, and save it. And then I'm gonna rerun. Guess I only needed to rerun it on the Mac. Oh, but yeah. Okay, so it actually hasn't updated yet. Okay. It should update pretty quickly. See if it gets updated. All right, maybe you'll need to trust me. Once this gets updated here, the performance stats will get cleared. I did notice a bug as well, that if we move a team, if we move a host from one team to another team, the stats get cleared. It seems like that shouldn't happen. So I will file that bug. I think that's it for me. I think back to you, Luke.
Great. Thank you, Victor. Exciting release. Looking forward to getting it published on Monday. We are targeting Monday end of day to publish 4.45. Looks like we're on track for that. I will be cutting the release candidate first thing Monday mornings. So the rest of today is available to merge bug fixes, try to get everything in for the release by end of day today. That's it. Any final questions or announcements before we wrap? All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and thanks for a great demo. Next element,
Thanks, y'all.
next element is calcium, right?
Let's hope it's strong.
Strong bones in the next release.
Strong bones, I guess. That's where I was going with it. Yeah. So not so I need to work on it.
All right.
Thanks
y'all.
everybody.
Everyone.
Recording.